regulated in California.
Yeah.
But I can certainly talk about what is good life choices, what's the lifestyle to have a good credit report, sort of things that you can do.
You know what else, Nick, is you bring up a really good point, which I just learned in the last year, which was and it's funny because on TV, they have these stupid commercials where I don't have a credit score of 785 and blah, blah, and like now I'm in the driver's seat because I know what my FICO is, but my mortgage broker, every time he pulls my scores, it's 20 to 40 points lower than what my FICO tells me my FICO score is, because you're right, the mortgage guys use a completely different FICO scoring system that is not available to the public.
Yes, we use a completely different algorithm inside the mortgage industry.
Yeah, we definitely want to talk about that.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
And if you're kind of trying to fill out 2 segments, I think then it'd be kind of just interesting to hear your perspective of what's going on right now in the stock market and the banks, and
I'd love to talk about
that would be just an interesting kind of, if you had the bailout stuff.
Yeah, let's start out in credit though.
Yeah.
Let's see how far that gets us. But yeah, I remember being really pissed off at my mortgage broker when I thought my score was 720, and he said, "You don't even have it's below 680, and I can't get you the loan program that you want." I'm like, what are you reading, dude?
Well, if you take the 6 and you kind of color it in, it's an 8, and now it's 880. That's simple enough.
I
Right?
have a simple fix for that.
Yeah. Okay, so the way we do this is I do a quick little introduction here, and then I'll basically say, yeah, today's special guest is Nick Strauss to discuss credit score issues. Welcome to the best of it. When I say welcome to the best of investing, you can say, well, thanks guys for having me, and then you can just start kind of asking questions. How's that?
Right.
And Kathryn
Sounds
will
great.
jump into. Okay. And then you can't see us, but there's going to come a point in about 11 minutes. I'll have to cut us off to a commercial break. Okay. All right. So here we go. Welcome to the best of investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hahn of Pacific Private Money, California's fastest growing mortgage investment firm, and Kathryn Harris, CPA of Parati & Karad. Our phone number is 888-912-1190. Use that number to answer the trivia questions for 3 vacations given away during this show. And the vacations are not sponsored by the radio station, but by Lighthouse Resort and Marina, located 1 hour northeast of San Francisco. You know, they've been sponsoring us for 5 years now, those rascals. Excellent. Vacations are free. Their only request a $75 cleaning fee to cover the housekeeping expenses. Today's trivia theme is miscellaneous trivia. Check us out on our website, bestofinvesting.com. And I'll tell you what, let's just get right into this. We've got a special guest on the phone. His name is Nick Strauss to discuss credit score issues. Nick, welcome to the Best of Investing.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on here today.
You're welcome.
So Nick's been in the mortgage business for a dozen or so years and has been working with credit scores and has found himself to, through all those years of experience, to kind of be an expert on credit scores and what affects that. And Nick, what would be, is there one or a couple of things that you think people might be surprised to learn about how their credit scoring works?
Well, the single thing that I find that people are most surprised by is that using credit gives you a good credit score. People with no credit, who don't borrow any money, make no payments, and have no debt, aren't presenting a history to the lenders that shows that they know how to manage it. That's really what we want to see.
What are some simple things that people can do to improve their credit score? Since we all see those commercials where people are bragging about having a 785 credit score, but we all I think most people know that if you have a foreclosure or you have late payments or any other type of credit issues like that, of course it negatively impacts your score.
We've been in prison for 10 years.
Yeah. And so those things, time tends to be needed to heal those credit issues. But what are other things people can actually do today, right now, that would help them increase their credit score relatively quickly?
Well, it seems blindingly obvious, but use your credit to pay your bills on time. Your balance is at a reasonable proportion of your limits, but use your credit. Create that payment history, that consistent record of making your payments on time every month. Do it on a couple of different credit lines. Good with revolving credit, like credit cards. It also helps to have loans or installment, like car loans, perhaps even a mattress. Yeah, you open them, it's not going to help your credit. But the longer you have those accounts, the stronger that they are in supporting your score.
You say mattress?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Well, a lot of them, and that's what I thought about is you can opt those interest free for 3 years when you buy your mattress.
well, I was thinking of opening up my mattress and hiding money in there. And I'm going, but how do they know about that
How
credit?
does that help my credit
No.
score?
Yeah.
But I would actually
Like
say on
way
that
worse.
one is that if you read the fine print, is that if you don't pay it off in those 3 years,
yeah.
they tack on the 24% interest for the
And for the whole 3 years, yeah.
But that's a great way to start. And I would actually say, imagine you talk to young adults and opening up a credit card that has a small limit of $500, $1,000, and would benefit them immediately. Not necessarily immediately, but start young,
Start
Like,
young.
almost like
Start
retirement.
young. And rather than worry about your credit limits, worry about your debt level. Truth is the higher your credit limits are, the more it helps you. But spending all that money and maxing out your cards really doesn't help you very much.
Well, let me ask you something, though. If you have too high a limit on too many cards, don't they sometimes get a little nervous that you could potentially spend a lot of money, like on a boat or something?
Not really.
No.
Having the available credit is actually a good sign. It means that lenders have looked at you and looked at your situation and extended you credit. One of the major factors in your credit score, what's called your debt credit ratio. That includes both revolving debt, installment debt, and mortgage debt. All they do is they look at the high limit present balance. The difference between those, the larger that you have that difference relative to your balance, the better that ratio is.
So, expressed as a percentage, I've heard different numbers thrown out. Is there a number that you should always keep your debt number to your credit limit ratio? In other words, the percentage of your credit limit that you use. Is there a number that you shouldn't go over if you want to optimize your score?
I wouldn't really say there's a number you shouldn't go over. A lot of people have said 30%, 40%. The algorithms are so complicated that it's not easy to provide a single answer like that. What's important is that you're using it every month, making payments on it every month. I would suggest that you don't have balances over 50%, that you be prepared to pay those down if you're looking for other financing. But I don't think it hurts your score just to have the balances in a significant way.
Okay, but
Those
you,
high
Just
credit
don't carry a huge 90%, 80%.
Yeah.
But it does depend from month to month. But you can kind of charge up the yin yang
Well, as long as
you pay it down.
can we say yin yang on the radio?
Yeah, that's okay.
Hey, Eric, I wanted to ask you, there was something in your bio that I thought was really interesting that I think many people don't know, and I only learned this in the last year, and that is, I thought I knew what my credit score was, and then I applied for a mortgage, and my mortgage broker told me my score was a different number, and of course, unfortunately for me, it was significantly lower than the number that I was pulling up myself on the computer. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, there's 3 separate credit bureaus. Collect, store, and report information. They all try to get perfect information, but none of them quite do the information that they can get. Each one uses a different algorithm to compute your credit score, looks at the information similarly but slightly differently. And then the really big thing, they use different algorithms. They send out credit reports and credit scores based on who the end user is. Information on your credit report should be the same no matter who looks at your credit report. But your score won't be. The score that you see on My FICO or My Free Credit Report won't necessarily be the same score that's seen by your auto lender. It almost certainly won't be the same score that's seen by a bank.
Because
So if I understand it, it's the same information going in, but you're saying there's just different algorithms that are used by the end.
Score, yes.
Very interesting.
So why do you think?
The thing is there's 5 to 7 different algorithms that Bureau uses depending on who the end user is.
So is it because they weigh more heavily on certain items, and then so for the mortgage industry they come up with a different score, potentially lower?
Yes.
Interesting.
But why wouldn't they make that available to the end user, to the consumer. If they're trying to go and get a loan and you
Good
know that you need to hit a certain
Yeah.
credit limit and you strive and you work your best to get to it, you hit the goal and then you come find out,
It's probably all proprietary information they don't want to give out to the public, right?
Proprietary information.
Yeah.
Different banks use slightly different algorithms that they negotiated with.
Okay.
They get similar scores. It's proprietary. The way they look at information provided by the bureaus, negotiations that they make about how the scores are going to be calculated.
So even from bank to bank, that score can even change.
Well, I remember like for insurance companies, AM Best was the typical one. Then they had Standard & Poor's and Moody's, and then I think they have Fitch or something like that. And Fitch was always you think you're an A+, well, we're giving you a B. You know, and it was always like really, ooh. So if you can get an A- from them, you were just a rock star.
Well, and I do recall that, you know, when I've gone to, you know, buy or lease an auto, you know, they would come up with a score, and, you know, my mortgage broker would come up with a different score, and if you go to get a, you know, a credit card at an apartment store, they come up with yet a different score. So it's, I guess every industry that uses credit to, you know, make a decision on a consumer, they have different priorities, and I guess they value different aspects of your credit history differently, and that's why we end up with these different scores and varying scores.
Yes, exactly. And you even put your finger on three main categories of credit. In a mortgage, you're getting residential real estate financing. When you get a car, you're getting an installment loan. When you get a credit card, you're getting what's called revolving debt. Use and pay off and use again. Those are three very different uses, so they absolutely like different algorithms for those three different users.
Well, hey, Nick, stay with us. We're going to cut to a quick commercial break. We come back, we're going to ask Nick a few more questions about credit score issues and some other stuff. And before we get to the commercial break, I want to make a quick mention here. Get ready for this. February 5th, it's a Neil Diamond tribute. And it's not actually Neil Diamond, but it's a tribute to Neil Diamond. In fact, Mark and I are going to go to that. That's going to be February 5th.
Yeah, baby.
And it's at the Lesher Theater in, it's supposed to Sweet Caroline, right? Lesher Theater in Walnut Creek. And then they're going to do a Frank Sinatra tribute on February 6th. Pretty good. So check them out at the Lesher Theater in Walnut Creek. Take a look at them. The prices are very reasonable. All right? So that's February 5th, February 6th. Neil Diamond, Frank Sinatra tribute bands. Okay, first commercial trivia question here is, what was the gladiator armed with in addition to a dagger and a spear?
One more time?
What was a gladiator armed with in addition to a dagger and a spear? The first caller with the correct answer is going to win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Call 888-912-1190 to answer that question. Stay with us. You're listening to The Best of Investing. We're going to be right back. All right. That's
Great.
our first segment. That was good. I forgot to tell you what your questions are. So, Mark, your question is, where can I find more information about investing in deeds of trust?
Good.
Kathryn, is it too late to open up and fund a 2015 SEP IRA?
Bailout stuff. So is there anything, Nick, about in the credit arena that we haven't covered yet that we should, or you want to move on a little bit?
We can anything that you guys feel like we can talk about how young people can build up credit by moving from charge account credit cards to installment loans to mortgages.
That's what I was going to say.
Good,
What would be
okay.
the two or three? I mean, you said there's three almost types of credit, that revolving,
Installment and mortgage.
installment, and which one
Three
would be?
fundamental different categories.
Revolving.
And I guess that
And
would be,
within revolving, there's different categories because the charge account you get at Home Depot is different from your Visa, is different from your Amex.
Okay.
yeah, so I would say
yeah,
which would be the
that's
three
very good
of
to
those,
talk
which
about.
one?
You want to ask the question?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll lead in with
I have a guess for the trivia question, but I will answer it live
on the air.
We'll do it live.
All right. Very good, very good. All right. And away we go. Welcome back to The Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hahn and Kathryn Harris. CPA. Always have to add that in. I like doing that. But here was our first trivia question. What was a gladiator armed with in addition to a dagger and a spear?
I'm guessing a shield.
But that's more of a defensive thing.
What?
What? What?
Oh, that's not.
We don't know. I would not want to get hurt by that.
That's true.
Red hot poker.
Yeah. Red hot poker. No, a net. You're right. You've seen. You know, where they throw
I guess
not
so.
a butterfly net, but one of those kinds. Yeah. All right. So we have Nick Strauss on the phone. He's discussing credit score issues, and Kathryn, you've got a question.
Well, I guess is for parents who have young adults and for young adults that are listening, what would you kind of say is your best kind of strategy when building up credit? You talked about 3 kind of different credits, that revolving credit, the installment credit, and then the mortgage. Obviously, I would think mortgage is a little bit further down the line. And then you said even within those 3 types of credit, there are different ones. So what would you kind of recommend to anyone who comes to you? I mean, I think you also kind of spoke off the air about there's almost different kinds. So every charge card is even different. So what would be your best suggestion?
The best suggestion would be to start out with whatever kind of debt you can get. Probably going to be a small credit card from the bank that you've got a checking account with, or maybe even something like a open 30-day charge account at Home Depot. Those sort of accounts report on your credit history. As long as you use them and make payments on them, build that history of good payments. Then you can just move on up the ladder. Your revolving debt gets better. You increase your limits on it, and you can get installment debt. Buying a car is usually the thing that a lot of people go through. There's other ways to get installment debt, like buying a mattress, even from some companies buying a computer or some other expensive durable property.
And I guess for some people who are having a really difficult time getting credit, they can put money in a bank and get it secured by a bank account, right?
Yes, you can get a secured credit card offered by some banks.
I don't know why anyone would do
Really low limit, like
But it's a start.
the option.
Yeah.
This is something that's happened. That's a great place to start.
And I think you
Easiest thing there
also
is to get.
go ahead.
Easiest thing there is to get. Not tremendously helpful because the limits are low and you have to set aside money for it, but it can be a stepping stone to that next spot.
And one thing you said about it is those increasing those limits is every year you can kind of go back and request an increase in that limit, and that almost automatically helps the denominator, and you're increasing your credit. And I think a lot of people just don't do that.
And what if you get denied an increase? That doesn't affect your credit score
Not at all.
Not at all.
Doesn't affect the credit score at all. Only impact that requesting an increase would have is it might result in creditor pulling your credit.
And there's
So
soft
your
pulls.
report has a short-term impact.
Okay, because there's also the soft pulls versus the hard pulls, and soft pulls don't impact your credit, do they?
It's actually more complicated than that.
Of course.
It depends.
Let's start with hard. Mortgage lender does a hard. They check all 3 bureaus on the same day, download all of your information. Check everything. That actually shows up on your credit report 3 separate credit pulls. One from TransUnion, one from Experian, and one from Equifax. Once we've pulled that report, we have a variety of soft pulls that we can do. Simply update information on that report. Don't show up as an additional credit inquiry. Those have absolutely no impact on your credit. You applied for a mortgage 2 months ago. I'm going to do a soft pull to make sure that you're still current on all your payments before we close.
All right, and that one doesn't have any impact. But there are some soft pulls that do have an impact.
Right. So it's not quite as soft. If you go into the Home Depot or if you go into your Ford dealership, whatever it is, they usually check just one bureau. That in between does show up on your credit report. It shows up as a single bureau pull, which means that you were looking at some kind of consumer credit. You applied for some kind of subscription service. You sign up for Comcast, they check your credit. You get a new cell phone, they check your credit. Anything that you're going to be paying over a period of time.
See, that's what my question was, is about, if you had too many credit cards with high limits, the fear was that you might, spend too much and that you'd have a lower credit score because, if you're applying for credit, what's the difference? You know what I mean?
For credit always lowers your credit score.
But
Every time you open a new account, your score goes down for a little while.
okay.
The opening new accounts to having credit pulls short-term effect relative to the having a strong credit history. So you really want to spend your time to build that history whenever you have the ability to do it.
Yeah. So it sounds like overall for credit, it's taking the time to plan it out and start young.
Absolutely.
And
start young and plan it out. No one can fix your credit overnight. Reckon it's going to take you a lot more than a week to fix it.
So Nick, you're a mortgage broker. You work with people who are applying for, probably the biggest loan or among the biggest loans they've ever taken out in their lives, and we all know how much more difficult it is to get conventional loans these days. So if I'm looking to get a conventional loan in the near future, I don't know exactly when, what do you recommend to your clients in terms of any new credit? Do you advise them not to get any new credit if they think they're going to get a mortgage in the near term, or is there a certain number of days or a period of time you advise them not to apply for any new credit?
It's hard to put an exact number, time frame on it, but I have seen a credit score lower than it was 1 year ago because a significant new account opened 9 months ago.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to stand still like that.
It's kind of hard to stand still like that. And in that particular case, it was a $40,000 equity line. Being paid on time. It took someone's credit from 725, 710.
Okay.
720 magical threshold. One of those lines in the sand.
Wow. What about just transitioning from mortgage applications? Is there something people can do to influence their credit score in a positive way that might have nothing to do with getting or maintaining credit? Is there like
getting married or something?
Well, no, I'm saying like cleaning up the information that the credit bureaus have on you. Is there any benefit? Have you seen any benefit to doing that?
Cleaning up the information that the credit bureaus have on you can be of some benefit, but it's hard to say exactly what it is because it depends on which information you're cleaning out. For many people, there is accounts that are double reported. The credit bureaus report them with the first 4 numbers of the credit card redacted. One credit bureau reports them with the last 4 numbers of the credit card redacted. The accounts won't have the same number. Will functionally have double impact. Now, if that's a bad account that has double impact, cleaning it up will certainly help you.
Right. Well, Nick Strauss, thank you so much for joining us. If any of our listeners have any more questions they want to ask you directly, how would they get a hold of you?
They can get a hold of me by emailing me at the moment at nick.strauss@gmail.com.
That's pretty easy. nick.strauss@gmail.com.
That's pretty easy.
That is. How'd you get that one?
A long time ago.
Yeah, a
He was
long
one of
time
the-
ago. He's one of the first Gmail guys.
The helicopter.
Yeah. Well, Nick, thank you so much for joining us on the Best of Investing.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm wonderful.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
That was pretty good. Okay. So I'll tell you what, before we cut to another commercial break here, I did want to mention here that we had a couple of little comments from before.
Oh, really?
Let me start off with this again. Okay. So the Hope Merrill House, located in Geyserville, stands strikingly restored Victorian bed and breakfast. Very nice place.
Cool.
So you can go there for a glass of wine on the veranda, looking out at the pool, and in the morning you're surrounded by the sounds and scents of a home-cooked country breakfast. That sound good?
Sounds
I
delicious.
love that. From the inn, one is able to see Geyser Peak, the largest geothermal. How about geothermal instead of geothermal?
For a moment, I thought you said gerbil.
Yeah,
I know.
that'd be too.
Where are you going?
Geothermal property in the world. And their most popular and unique package is their pick and press wine making event, where a wine lover can spend 2 days making wine. I thought that's pretty cool. Create your own labels for 2 cases of your very own bottles, which you take home to friends and family. So they have a detailed information on this package and on the in at their website, which is www.hope-ins.com. All right, so check them out. And here was our second trivia question, miscellaneous trivia. First one was about gladiators. Second one here, what single name is more commonly applied to Holy Roman Emperor Charles the Great? All right? You guys all have heard that name before. Stay with us. You're listening to The Best of Investing, and we're going to be right back. Bumping on my words there. And you guys have some good articles and stuff you want to?
Of course. You brought some goodies. Kathryn, you said you left the articles, but you wrote them all when you were when you got in here.
It's my New Year's resolution stuff.
Oh, you have New Year's resolutions? Oh.
Kind of thing.
Okay. That was fun.
Yeah, I've got plenty of stuff, and if we only cover a fraction of it, and I save it for next week, that's fine too.
Perfect. Yeah, I don't know how Kramer got a hold of Nick, but he just said, hey, this guy would be good to have.
It was good.
Yeah,
Well, the connection was a little spotty.
he might have been on his cell phone.
It kept dropping off a little
That's
bit.
what I was a little concerned about. Okay. Oh, we ready. Welcome back to The Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Conn and Kathryn Harris, CPA. When we cut to the second commercial break, we asked this trivia question. What single name is more commonly applied to Holy Roman Emperor Charles the Great?
Chuck.
Chuck Wagon. No, you're close. Charlemagne.
Oh,
What?
we called him Charlie Man when I was studying him in
Charlie
high school.
Or Chuck.
Or Chuck, yes. Kathryn, did you say something about you have New Year's resolutions?
Happy New Year's.
That's,
You betcha.
I thought we were ran across this article and said, it was a great approach to the New Year's. I think that oftentimes our New Year's resolutions seem to fail around January 21st.
Or sooner.
Or sooner. We just put too much on our plate too soon after the New Year's. It's just you're asking too much. You're setting yourself up for disaster or for failure. So this financial improvement, your financial New Year's resolution is let's spread it out over the year. Kind of calendar it. Look at goals for kind of each month of the year. So it's not this overwhelming list on January 1st, and by the time you listen to the show, you're done. You're tired. You're over it.
well, like losing 20 pounds. You don't want to do that all.
No, exactly. Well, by starving.
Yeah, exactly.
So these are kind of New Year's resolution, your financial New Year's resolutions that you can do and set them as goals to achieve one at a time in the next 12 months. Here are a few. Well, January is kind of the appropriate time to budget. Look out for the year, kind of really start to create your budget and try to keep up with that budget for the rest of the year.
Okay.
Funny enough, mine is looking at your credit report, your credit score, which is appropriate.
Yeah.
People don't look at their credit score.
That's
They
true.
don't look over it to see if there's any inaccuracies in it.
You know, I have a credit card that at first I thought it was junk email, but they sent me this, your credit score change or something. And I've seen junk email like that, but this one came from my real credit card. And it was cool because it didn't cost me anything. And I just opened up a safe email and it showed my credit score, changing a little bit.
And they now offer, a lot of the credit card companies are now offering exactly as you enter in the time period where you're thinking about buying a home, you obviously want to pay more attention to it and things to try to improve it. But it's checking it for the inaccuracies in it, and keeping it now with credit cards nowadays. It's oftentimes can come right to you, so it's just setting it up, and oftentimes for free.
Yeah, I thought my credit score of 99 was good because I was 99%, and I found out no, that's not the case.
So what? Educate yourself on credit.
Yeah, and then how often should you do it? Once at 6 months? Or?
Yeah, I mean it depends. They're obviously the free one happens is every consumer. I know at least in California is once a year. But look into what your current credit card providers are offering for free and kind of go from there.
Okay.
Adjust or review your investment strategy. Review what you have in your investments. Have things changed? Are you not? this week has been a very interesting week
For
in the stock market.
stock market, yes.
And for those who are in for the long run, you kind of don't need to pay attention to it. You kind of have the long term to recover. Others don't. But every year things change. What you need your money to do for you changes. Interest rates are starting to come back up with the most recent increase in the prime. Maybe you want to start putting some money into a CD. Things change. So 1 month, let's review your investment options. Another month, take a look at your retirement accounts. Do we need to bump up what you put into your 401k? Or if you max, oftentimes you max and you need to notify your employer to bump up for the recent increase in the 401k max.
Well, can I get it? There was an email we received for you that actually said, is it too late to open up and fund a 2015 SEP IRA?
It's not.
It's not.
It is not. And if you're self-employed, that's something to think of. And that's something to think of, obviously, for the going backwards, but going forward is think about those retirement accounts. And if you have I speak about with my husband, he's a sole proprietor, is start putting $50 away. You can afford $50. You can afford $25. Just or if you're an employee, you've got a 401k plan, just put that $25 away. So one of them is adding, or just while you get that raise, you don't have to put in 100% of that raise, but you will not notice $25 out of your bank account or 100. I mean, do something, and each year look at that. But you're right. If you're doing it for tax planning right now, if you're self-employed, you have for the next 3 months to start building up a cash reserve to fund that SEP IRA. So you haven't missed out the boat yet. You have the chance to do it, but you do need to do some planning.
And for a lot of people file extensions. So what about that?
Yeah.
You
can.
can extend the
Yeah.
time to put this in the
Yes.
SEP IRA for that.
And we've had it where they're done with their tax return, but they need the time to build up the cash needed for that SEP.
So they don't file it yet until after they fund the SEP.
Yes.
Got it. Very interesting.
Let's see, what are some of the other ones? Adjust your 401k. Look over your estate plan. Have things changed? Have you had a child? Life insurance.
Yeah.
Take a look at that financial part of the puzzle. Do you need to update one? Do you need to get an estate plan? Do you need to update it? Do you need to change your beneficiary forms? Things to do.
Okay.
Calendar these.
Very good.
One month, and you know what? After the end of the year, you're gonna be sitting pretty.
There you go.
And
We
you
like
actually
that.
will get to your New Year's resolution.
Yeah. And I'll still lose that 20 pounds.
Yeah.
Well,
You'll be stressing.
okay. Well, thank you very much.
Sure.
Mark, you have you want to get in a couple of articles you had there?
Yeah, well, it's the beginning of the year, and I spent several hours looking through some of my more favorite writers and bloggers in the real estate and the economy, and of course, the net of it, without going through and reading off snippets from some of these articles, it's really more of what's the gist. What are the economists and other smart people who
Pundits, you like to call them.
pundits. What are they saying about the predictions for 2016 in terms of mortgage rates, the economy, housing prices? The good news is that pretty much across the board, economists who are single economists who are in the business of forecasting, surveys of groups of economists, including 50 economists polled by Bloomberg, and then you've got people in the industry like CoreLogic, who does a lot of reporting on real estate related matters, and even insurance companies. Pretty much everybody across the board is expecting 2016 to be a little less of 2015, but essentially more of the same. Continuing appreciation in housing prices, but not as much, which I think is probably more of a wish list than, is there evidence to suggest that's actually going to happen, because we're still dealing with limited inventory and not a lot of new housing being created, especially here in the Bay Area.
I was reading an article that the rental market kind of softened a little bit in the Bay Area, mostly Marin.
Well, it's
A little
been
bit.
going up between 10 and 15% in many markets on an annualized
And you
basis
can't.
for
You can't
you're
sustain
right.
Oh.
And same with housing prices. Now, Case-Shiller, which is essentially 60 to 90 days behind in their information, but they're one of the most followed indexes. Their end of October report, which came out last week, showed once again in the San Francisco Bay Area, year-over-year appreciation is still running just a tick above 10%. So that has not changed. There's no evidence of a market slowing down, but we'd like to see the market slow down. In fact, most of us would love to see appreciation settle down to a 5 or 6% range, not a 10 or 11% range. And no one that I've read is actually predicting that's going to happen in that fine or granular percentage, but they are looking at, they are either predicting or, wishful thinking that, let's say that the market should be slowing down in 2016, but really nobody that I'm reading is calling for a decline in prices. Even with respect to the expectation that most people have that mortgage rates a year from now will be higher than they are today. So if today they're at 3.95 to 4%, I'm seeing ranges of between 4.25% to 4.5% at year end. Of course, we don't know what could, any event could happen during the year to change that. But basically, when it comes to real estate and mortgage rates, which are, of course, a very, very important component to the economy, going into 2016, the clouds on the horizon that we're kind of looking ahead towards, going, when are we going to see an adjustment in the market? When is the next cycle going to hit? When are we going to have the next downward trend in housing prices? They're pushing any such notion of that now into 2017.
I would think.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, you can't go from a growth, a year after year growth of 10% and a huge adjustment like this, and you want one that's what a normal rate is 5%. Maybe we're going to be on the other side of 10%, so not above, but maybe a increase below 10%.
Well, I am hopeful that the price appreciation rate of real estate in the Bay Area will in fact slow down. I believe it will. I think we've had a number of double-digit years, and I think we're getting to a point where the affordability of it is such that you're just going to see a slowdown in purchases. At some point, it stops being a seller's market because you just can't continue to raise prices indefinitely when you've got wage and affordability issues.
Before we get to our next break, Kathryn, I forgot to ask if people had questions about those New Year's resolutions and needed some advice. How would they get a hold of you?
Well, it is the start of tax season, so anyone who has questions about their tax return, they're funding a SEP IRA, they can reach me at 415-461-8500.
Very good. Okay. Before we get to our next commercial break here, you deserve it. A luxurious getaway in Napa Valley. The Meritage Resort and Spa boasts world-class luxury. Stroll across acres of hillside vineyards, enjoy award-winning cuisine, relax in the estate cave as you pamper yourself at the Spa Terra, or savor flights of Trinitas Cellars wine. Meet your friends in Crush Ultra Lounge with 6 bowling lanes. I love that. And sports entertainment. Make reservations now for special winemaker dinners and the holidays. Well, the holidays are over now, but check them out at meritageresort.com. That's MERITAGE, meritageresort.com for details. Okay, here is our next trivia question here. And where are we? 0 for 2? You were close with Chuck, so we'll give you credit for that one.
Yes.
This one, you should be able to get this one. Who was the last president of the Soviet Union? Think about that one. All right? Stay with us. You're listening to The Best in Investing. We'll be right back.
Gorba Putin.
Putin, that's right. So I want to ask you your question. We can get into your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Kathy, did you have anything else that you were?
No, we can say I have another little thing.
Okay. Maybe catch it. Tail end. Save this bad boy here.
Yes, indeed. This is the 4th one, right? The
Yeah.
last one?
So I'll tell you how many minutes we have left.
Okay.
So when did you move in the house? Is it done?
It's not done.
Of course.
We moved in when it was woefully not done, but it was the first day of Christmas break vacation, and both my girls were home, and we told our contractor we're sleeping on the floors. It just but we only had one working shower and out of three, and anyway, it's improved now. Now we're up to 3 out of 4 bathrooms are all functional.
Also,
Towel bars are up this week, and
we had to get out of your other house too.
yeah, we did. Well, we were in a hotel. We'd gotten to the point where we'd gotten booted out of our temporary housing. We were living in a hotel for a week. So.
Which is only fun for a while.
Yeah. Stupid.
No, temporary housing is, you get over it
But
quick.
but we have paper on the floor because our contractors are still walking in and out, and it still doesn't feel like, still feels like temporary living. We don't have all of our stuff in the house. The furniture we've ordered is still not delivered yet. Nowhere to sit. I've got beach chairs on cardboard sitting on the floor. And,
I know Lisa just loves that.
oh God, I know. She's being a good sport about it.
Is she though?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, real good.
Good for her. Good for you.
All right, so are you gonna do the question?
Yeah, question.
Oh, my question next?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
All right, here we go. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Humph and Kathryn Harris, CPA. Here was our third trivia question. Who was the last president of the Soviet Union?
I'm gonna say Putin.
Gorba Putin is what you said.
Gorba Putin.
No clue.
Gorbachev.
It was
So
Gorbachev.
Gorba Putin
Well,
was
I
close.
thought it was a trick question because I know that he keeps
No
changing
tricks.
his titles.
Oh,
Well,
does
That's
he?
what, yes, I would have thought that as well.
Yeah,
Ah.
'cause
But he's Soviet Union,
Yeah,
and it's Russia.
that's right.
But I am also going to
Yeah, no,
not strong on my Eastern Europe.
No trick question. No trick question.
Fine.
Right.
Okay, we have another non-trick question for you,
Okay.
and that is, where can I find more information about investing in deeds of trust?
Good old mortgage investing question. Well, that is a question we're hearing at Pacific Private Money more and more today, this new year. Why? Well,
I'm
it's
tired
with-
of getting
what's-
that point
what's hap-
1%.
Well, the stock market's
The
been
stock
crazy.
market.
That
Oh,
too?
Yeah.
if you're significantly invested in the stock market, especially if you're in index or mutual funds, I am so sorry because you did not have a good year in 2015, and you're not having a good year so far in 2016. And here's the worst of the news: a year ago, pundits were predicting that the stock market would increase overall between 8 and 10%. Well, it was down on the major indexes around 2%.
Yeah, it's about flat.
Those same pundits, who presumably are experts in what the stock market is or isn't going to do, are basically saying at this point they don't expect anything significant in terms of returns in 2016. There's just a lot of bearishness right now going on in the stock
Because
market.
of oil? Or
Now, that doesn't mean it's going to be
China?
true because
Oil.
nobody knows, right? But
Yeah.
remember, 6 months ago we did a show where I talked about a Bloomberg article from a major writer that said expect stocks to underperform significantly in the next decade. So there are smart people who study these things who are thinking that there's because of a lot of different factors, we may not see the types of stock market returns that we've been enjoying since the major Great Recession.
Yeah. Well, what did
5
you
years ago.
call 2000 to 2010?
The
A lost decade.
Sounds like we're going to have a flat decade coming
Well,
up.
we could have a
Yeah.
flat decade. So, because of that, I'm getting many calls from existing investors who want to increase the money that they invest in mortgages, and plus calls from new investors who want to know more about how mortgage investing actually works. And essentially, we have at Pacific Private Money 2 ways for people to participate in mortgage investing. One is by investing in individual notes, which is usually reserved for people who are experienced in it. Of course, if you don't have experience, one way to get it is to actually start trying. But the problem with investing in individual notes is that because there's a lot of competition among those people who've been doing it for years, it's harder for the uninitiated or the new person to invest directly in individual notes. And I can give you more information in a phone call, person to person, about why that is, because I can talk about that for a whole show.
Okay, so you're not affected by the stock market.
No,
So
absolutely.
investors invest in that. Because, I mean, I know a lot of people throw all investments into one category. And they go, well, I'm not going to invest in anything.
Mortgage investing is actually a little bit of an oxymoron because it's when you invest in mortgages, you're actually providing financing rather than investing. And the hallmark of financing is collateral. So we make real estate secured loans in Pacific Private Money. We're a non-bank source of mortgages, and we operate very successfully in this marketplace because the banking lending industry has changed significantly in the last 5-6 years, making it harder for a lot of people to borrow from banks. And so we're an alternative source for people who need financing, particularly short-term financing. That's really the thing we specialize in. We talked about investing in individual notes. I didn't get a chance to finish it. The second way we participate with our clients in mortgage investing is through our mortgage pool fund. So we've got a mortgage pool fund it's been consistently paying out a little bit over 8% for the last several years, and it almost doesn't matter what happens in the stock market or even the real estate industry in the next couple of years. We're extremely confident in our ability to continue to maintain at least an 8% payout. We may even see that payout increase gradually over time, particularly if mortgage rates go up, because private money loans consistently are at higher rates, a spread of higher rates over conventional mortgage loans. So, and people always need to borrow, and particularly since we do short-term loans, we're really not impacted by what happens in the long term, whether it's in the stock market or the real estate industry. We know that people talk about the real estate crash, but the real estate crash happened over 3 years, and there were still people making money in real estate while the market was going down. The people who lost money was the people who bought and held rather. Yeah. So anyway, for more information on mortgage investing, if you're looking at your stock portfolio and you want to maybe reallocate some of your investment portfolio, and you want to look at what a lot of financial planners have referred to as the best kept secret in investing today, also called mortgage investing. It's sometimes called trust deed investing or note investing. And of course, mortgage pool funds are another source, particularly for people who are not experienced in investing in mortgages. That's a great way to dip your foot in the pool, so to speak. Try a mortgage pool fund, and the Pacific Private Money Fund has been consistently paying out over 8%, as I mentioned earlier. For more information, go to our website. It's at pacificmoneyfund.com. That's pacificmoneyfund.com. Our phone number, 415-883-2150. And Edward's looking at me going, there's the other answer to the question is, we have an event.
Yeah, there you go. That's right.
At Piatti's Restaurant in Mill Valley on Wednesday evening, coming up in a couple of weeks, Wednesday, January 20th at 7 p.m. at Piatti's Restaurant. We are doing one of our semi-annual fund presentation events where we're going to talk about the Pacific Private Money Fund, its performance over the last several years, our take on what's happening in the marketplace, and why we believe that mortgage investing is one of the best places to focus your attention on right now when it comes to the investment option community. And for more information, again, go to our website, pacificmoneyfund.com, or give us a call, because we can send you a link to allow you to sign up, or we can put you on the reservation list right away.
Yeah,
so far we've got 80.
Yeah, you're filling up on.
Yeah, the Piatti's holds about 100 people comfortably, up to 120, but about 100 comfortably. We're at 80 so far, so
not much room left.
Not much room
Not
left.
right,
So
yeah,
again,
and
give
it's
us
a free event and free food.
So call Pacific Private Money, 415-883-2150 to sign up for our event at Piatti's. Yes, I forgot to say, they have a great hors d'oeuvre list, and we have found out which ones are like the best. So we're gonna. The last menu we had was really popular. It got eaten up pretty quick. So we're replicating that menu, and we'll have wine too. Although of course we would never suggest that you drink and drive. So bring a driver and
drink to your heart's content.
Enjoy some good red and or white wine. So anyway, good stuff.
Very good, Kathryn. You have a quick thing you want to mention?
It was one other article I read in the last week was talking about the return on your investment, and when you are thinking about what to do with your investment and how, or where to put your extra cash, or you're trying to start to save, is don't look at just your retirement, but also look at your credit card debt. Your credit card debt, now Mark's got a great investment that gives you an 8% return.
Yeah.
How about credit card debt and paying that down?
Absolutely.
And you oftentimes get
First thing.
26%
Yeah,
interest rate.
and
that's the first thing to do.
you don't have to pay taxes on that, so it's a
Yeah,
real.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
think about that next time.
Very good. Okay. We want to make a quick mention here to our friends at Pacific Trade Exchange, where it's business to business, barter company. Check them out at pacifictradeexchange.com. And here's our thoughts for the day. Is there a time limit on fortune cookie predictions? Right? Because eventually they'll all come true at some point. It's like the horoscope, oh my gosh, definitely. Yeah, it works for everybody. And if vampires can't see their reflections, why is their hair always so neat? You ever thought about that, huh? Bela Lugosi? All right, tune in next week to The Best of Investing. We're going to be giving away more free vacations for answering trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm Edward Brown. We're wishing you the best of investing. So long. Excellent. Lovely. Okay. You gonna try to make it to the event?
I realized it was Wednesday.
Oh, it's
I'm
just
a
bad?
single parent.
No.